Good morning students. In previous class we learnt about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In that lesson we have learnt what are the different parts of a flower and what is androecium we have learnt. Then let us see today pollen grain regarding the male gamete. Pollen grain. The study of the pollen grain is called as a palynology. Okay, it is the shape of the pollen grain is spherical, round. Then the diameter of the pollen grain, if you see, it is about 25 to 50 micrometers. Next here, then it is in yellow color due to presence of carotenoids. Why it is in yellow color? Due to presence of carotenoids. Okay. Then it is a reserve food material. What is present in this? Reserved food is present. Okay. Due to presence of the reserved food material, okay, it provides the supplement, food supplement. It provides food supplement, especially athletes. To whom it provides that? Athletes as well as horse race. The horse race you might have known. For them it provides a supplement. We can use the pollen grain as a food supplement. If you see in western countries, pollen grains are using in the preparation of the tablets as well as syrups. Okay. Western countries, pollen grains are using in the preparation of tablets and syrups. Then the smallest pollen grain is myosotis or myositis. Then the longest pollen grain, Zostera. See now, the study of the pollen grain is called as a palynology. Yesterday we have learnt about the embryology, the branch of science which deals about the embryo structure and its development is called as the embryology. Today we are learning about the palynology, the separate branch of science which deals about the pollen grain and its development is called as a palynology. The pollen grain is spherical or round in structure. The diameter of the pollen grain is 25 to 50 micrometers and it is yellow color due to presence of the carotenoids. Yesterday we learnt carotenoids, it protects from the UV rays. That process is called as a shield effect. That is the reason why pollen grains are using in the preparation of the sunscreen lotions. Next, reserved food material is present. Due to presence of the reserved food material, we are using as a food supplement, especially athletes are using the pollen grains as a food supplements as well as horse racers also using. Then in western countries, pollen grains are using in the preparation of the tablets and syrups. What is the smallest pollen grain? That is the myositis, and the longest one is the Zostera. Then around the pollen grain around or it covers a layer like structure that is called as a sporoderm. What do you call? Around the pollen grain, whatever the layer is present, that is called as a sporoderm. This sporoderm, when you see, it has two layers. How many layers are present? Two layers are present. One is outer layer, another one is inner layer. What is the outer layer? Outer layer we are calling as a exine. Okay. What is the inner layer? Inner layer we are calling as a intine. Okay. Then intine is a thin in nature and it is made up of pectocellulose. It is made up of pectin or cellulose. Pectocellulose or pectin cellulose both are same. It is not a difference one. Pectocellulose, pectin or cellulose both are same only. Inner layer of the pollen grain is made up of intine. It is thin and it is made up of pectocellulose. Let us see about the outermost layer of the sporoderm. So, what is that outer? It is also called as the exine. Exine is a thick in nature as it is compared to the intine. Intine is a thin and exine is a thick. Then it is made up of sporopollenin. Exine is made up of sporopollenin, one of the strongest substances which we have seen. No enzyme degrades and even biological action also cannot degrade the sporopollenin, and organic acids and alkalis also cannot degrade, even more temperature also cannot degrade. Such a strong this one, that is the reason why it can be preserved in the soil as a fossil. It will be helpful for the scientist in research purpose also. Then exine consisting of the two sublayers. Exine consisting of two sublayers. One is ectexine. Another one is endexine. Okay. Ectexine means outer, it is a outer layer. Then endexine means it is a inner layer. Okay. Again in the ectexine there are three parts are present, three layers are present. That is, first layer is tectum, second layer is baculum, third layer is foot layer. Okay. So, exine it is a thick, it is made up of sporopollenin. The exine sublayers when we see ectexine and endexine. Ectexine is the outermost one, endexine is the innermost one. Then again in the ectexine there are three parts are present, tectum, baculum and foot layer. Now let us see how the tectum, baculum, foot layers are present in the exine. So, now this is a tectum, this is baculum, baculae, it is a foot layer. Okay, now see which one it is a outer. Outermost means what is present here? It is a ectexine. Where is the endexine? Endexine means inner one, no? So, now it is a endexine. Okay. Afterwards, what will be present here? One more layer, if you see, that is intine. Okay. On the surface of the ectexine or tectum, baculum, foot layer, when you see, there are different sculptures are present. What are present? There are different sculptures. These sculptures are, if you see, this is one sculpture, spiny like structure, it is one sculpture. Next one is pitted, means inside it invaginates like this is the pitted one. Okay. Next one is reticulate, like this present. This is a reticulate. Okay. How many are present? One is spiny. Another one is pitted. Another one is reticulate. Spiny, how it is present? Spiny means in this manner. Pitted, how it is present? In this manner. Reticulate, in this manner reticulate is present. So, what is the use of these sculptures? What is the use of sculpture? Sculptures are useful to identify particular pollen grain belongs to which family. It belongs to which family and which genus or which species the pollen grain belongs to. So, on the surface of the pollen grain we can able to see the sculptures. These sculptures are useful to identification of the family, genus and species of that particular pollen grain. Okay, sculptures are making on the surface of the pollen grain, it is okay, but which organ or which part of the pollen grain is forming these sculptures? That is sporopollenin. Who is involving in the preparation of the sculpture? That is sporopollenin. Sporopollenin. It forms sculptures. Okay. So, it is very important to understand that ectoxine and endoxine. Ectoxine after foot layer, this is the foot layer, baculum and tectum. On the tectum you can able to see the sculptures. Sculptures are identification of the family, genus and species useful. Then sporopollenin involves in the formation of those sculptures. Next, when you see the structure of the pollen grain, so now I am drawing the structure of the pollen grain. This is the pollen grain. Then around the pollen grain, what is present? Exine is present. What is present? Exine is present. Yes. Now this is what? Exine. Then inner layer is intine. Okay. But some places when you observe, there is no formation of the sporopollenin on the exine. Means some places sporopollenin is absent. Okay, some places sporopollenin is absent. Due to that, what happens? A pore like structure is forming. That pore like structure we are calling as a germpore. What we are calling? Germpore. Now, this pore like structure what we are calling? Germpore. From the germpore, pollen tube germinates. Very important. From the germpore what happens? Pollen tube germinates. Okay. Then this pollen tube, how the pollen tube will be germinated? Now this is the pollen tube. So from the germpore what we are getting? Pollen tube is germinating. Okay. These germpores when we take, there are different types are there. Okay. Dicot and monocot. If you see in dicot and monocot, the germpores are different. Dicot, these pores we are calling as a germpore. In dicot, whatever the holes, pores are present to develop a pollen tube, those we are calling as a germpores. But in monocots, these are called as a germ furrows, germinal or germ furrows. germinal or germ furrows we are calling them. Then in a dicot germinal pore, how many in number? There are 3 are present, but whereas in monocot only 1 germinal pore is present. So 3 pores are present, that is the reason why these are called, it is called as a tricolpate or tricolpi. So I am writing as a tricolpate. Okay. Here only one is present, no, that is the reason why it is called as a uni or monocolpi or colpate. Okay, colpate. And in a dicot, the germ pore shape, when you see the germ pore, it is a round spherical in shape in a dicot, whereas in monocot it is a lens shape. It is in lens shape. So what is the lens shape? The germ pore, it is in lens shape in monocot, whereas in dicot it is in round in shape. See now here we are learning about the structure of the pollen grain. In that there is a nucleus. What do you call this one? This is nucleus. Next, vacuole. Okay. Now see, this is the nucleus, this is the vacuole, this is the intine innermost layer, this is the exine outermost layer. Exine is made up of sporopollenin, but some places sporopollenin is absent. Due to the absence of the sporopollenin, pore like structures are forming. These pore like structures we are calling as a germ pore. Through the germ pore, pollen tube will be developed. From here also one pollen tube, from here also one pollen tube. Okay. Of course, any one position the pollen tube will be germinated, not from the all sides. Okay. Next, the pollen tube germination in dicot and monocot, if you see, in dicot it is called as a germophore, in monocot it is called as a germ furrow or germinal furrow. But dicot it is in a round shape, in monocot it is in lens shape. Then the germ pores in dicot there are 3, that is the reason why we are calling as a tricolpate, whereas in monocot the germinal furrow is only 1, so that it is called as a uni or a monocolpate. Okay. This is about the structure of the pollen grain, how the pollen tube germinates through the germinal pore. Okay. Now let us see about the viability of the pollen grain. What is viability of the pollen grain? How much time, the period which the pollen grain functions, means the period of a time, how much time it will be in a function mode, that is called as a viability of the pollen grain. So there are 2 factors are contributing for the viability of the pollen grain. One is external factors. External factors we are also calling as a extrinsic factors, whereas another one is internal factor. Internal factors we are calling as a intrinsic factors. Okay. When you take the external factor what are those? One is temperature, another one is humidity. These 2 plays an important role in the viability of the pollen grain. Next, intrinsic factors. What are the intrinsic factor? Chromosomes, genes. Okay, internal factor. See, if you some of the organisms, some of the plants, just the viability of the pollen grain is 30 minutes. In some of them it is several months. It is several months. 30 minutes, where do you observe 30 minutes? Where do you observe 30 minutes? Especially Poaceae family. Graminae or Poaceae family, if you see, that is rice and wheat. Example, where the pollen grains can able to alive just 30 minutes, that is in Poaceae family, rice or wheat. Next, whereas several months, that is Solanaceae, Leguminaceae another name, Fabaceae and Rosaceae. Okay, so this is very important. The viability of the pollen grain, that is 30 minutes in Poaceae rice, it is a important in the NEET examination aspect. 30 minutes in Poaceae family, that is rice and wheat, several months in Solanaceae, Leguminaceae and Rosaceae family. So this is about the viability. Viability means how much time it can be able to alive, it can be function, that is called viability of the pollen grain. What are the factors involving? One is external, another one is internal factors. Okay, then examples. Next one. Preservation of the pollen grain. So pollen banks, where we are preserving, those are called as a pollen banks or pollen preservation. Okay, especially how much temperature is needed for the preservation of pollen grains, that is minus 190 degrees Celsius. Then what is the chemical? What is the chemical we are using to preserve? That is liquid nitrogen. What is that? Liquid nitrogen or N2. Okay. So minus 196 degrees Celsius, we know that at the 0 degree centigrade water will become into the solid state, but it is a minus sign is there, means it is very cool temperature. So that is the reason why this preservation is called as a cryopreservation. What preservation? Cryopreservation. It is also previous NEET bit. These two are very important. The viability of the pollen grain, examples, and how much temperature is needed to store the pollen grains, and what is the chemical we are using for the pollen grain. These two are very important. What is that process to preserve the pollen grains? That is cryopreservation. What is that? Cryopreservation. So these two are very important in the NEET examination point of view. Next, yes, what is this? Yesterday we have seen regarding this structure, anther wall. What is this? Anther wall. There are different layers are there: epidermis, endothecium, middle layer and tapetum. Yesterday only we have learnt regarding that one. This is the connective strands, xylem, vesicular strands will be connected to this one. Then what is this? This is the microsporangium. This is also microsporangium. So first what I am explaining here, inside the microsporangium there are many pollen grains are present. What are present? Many pollen grains are present. Here also many pollen grains are present. A group, bulk or mass of the pollen grains group, bulk or mass of the pollen grains. I am writing these three terms, group or bulk or mass of pollen grains called as pollinium or pollinia. What we are calling pollinium or pollinia. Now this is one pollinia or pollinium. Then what do you call? This is also we are calling as a pollinia or pollinium. Okay. Now how many are present? 2 are present. I am just giving labeling as a 1 here. I am just labeling as a 1. Pollinium I am labeling as a 1. From this thread-like structure, from this thread-like structures are arising. From here also thread-like structures are arised. Okay. Both thread-like structures, these thread-like structures, just I am giving as a number 2. Okay. These thread-like structures called as a caudices. What we are calling? Caudices. Then these thread-like structures attached to a disc shaped structure called as a corpuscle. So for this disc like structure I am giving a number. What is the shape? Disc like structure. For the disc like structure, what we are calling? Corpuscles. Now how many structures are present in this? There are 3 are present. What are those? First one is pollinia or pollinium. Okay. Second one, what is the second one? Thread-like structure which connects to the pollinia to the corpuscle, that is called as a caudices. What we are calling? Caudices. Next, third one, which is given as a number here 3. Disc-like structures are called as a corpuscles. Okay. These three together joined. Okay. 3 together joined and form a structure that is called as a translator. Very important. What is the translator? In the translator there are 3 terms, 3 apparatus, 3 parts are present. One is pollinia, caudices and corpuscles are present. These 3 together we are calling as a translator. Where do you find translators? Translators we can see in Asclepiadaceae family. And Orchidaceae family. In the members of the Orchidaceae family and Asclepiadaceae family, we can able to see the translator. Orchidaceae family means some of the parasitic plants like Orobanche, Cuscuta, those comes under the Orchidaceae family. Whereas Asclepiadaceae family, that is the Calotropis. Calotropis is a good example for the Asclepiadaceae family. In this family members, we can able to see the translator. Translator, it consisting of 3, pollinia, caudicle and corpuscle. Okay. So what is the need of learning the translator? See, sometimes here due to the formation of the translator, what happens? The weight of the pollen grain or pollinia will be more. The weight is more. So it cannot be transmitted by the wind or the air. So that, and due to consisting of the more weight, it will be taken by the insects. So that this mechanism is called as a clip mechanism. What mechanism this is called as a clip mechanism? Where do you see clip mechanism again? Asclepiadaceae and Orchidaceae family. Okay, so this is about the translator. And one more important term I am going to explain, that gynostegium. What is gynostegium? Corpuscle, what is that? Corpuscle of translator. Translator means you must remember three terms. One is pollinia, cortical and corpuscle. What is gynostegium? Corpuscle of translator. Where is the corpuscle? This is the corpuscle of the translator. When the corpuscle of the translator is attached to the stigma, corpuscle of translator attaches to stigma, then that is said to be gynostegium. Okay. Here in the gynostegium, how many are present? Andrecium part is present and gynoecium part is present. What is the andrecium part? Andrecium part means male gamete. So, corpuscle is related to the andrecium, then stigma is related to gynoecium. So, that it is called as a gynostegium. A plus G means andrecium part and gynoecium part both will be joined together, that is called as a gynostegium. Next. Compound pollen grain. What is that? Compound pollen grain. What is compound pollen grain? Compound pollen grain means, here we know that microspore tetrad. We know that microspore tetrad. This is the microspore tetrad. Yesterday only we have learnt regarding the microspore tetrad, and types of the microspore tetrads also we learnt based on the cytokinesis. Isobilateral, okay, tetrahedral, decussate, linear, T-shape. These all 5 types. Where do you find? Aristolochia elegans we have seen in yesterday's class. Compound pollen grain means sometimes we cannot differentiate and we cannot separate. We cannot separate microspores or pollen grain. We cannot separate pollen grains. What do you call them? Microspore. Microspore tetrad 1, 2, 3, 4. We cannot separate them. They will be like that only. That is the reason why such type of the pollen grain we are calling as a compound pollen grain. So, where do you find this compound pollen grain? Example, Dremis, Dianthus, Elodia, Juncus, Typha, etc. In these plants we can able to see compound pollen grain. So, what is the compound pollen grain? Sometimes callos will be like that only, strongly tightly fix up this pollen grains or microscopes. So, such a condition we are calling as a compound pollen grain. Then examples, Dremis, Elodia, Juncus and Typha. Okay, Dianthus also you can write here, Dianthus. One more example also you can write, that is a Dianthus. Next, Cyperaceae, the family Cyperaceae. Cyperaceae family members, then what happens? Pollen grain formation when we see, usually here 4 are forming. How many are forming? 4 are. From the MMC, what happens? As the meiosis taken place, from the MMC, as the meiosis taken place, 1, here 3, both together 4 pollen grains will be formed after meiosis. Which family? Cyperaceae family. But these three will be degenerated. This one only the functional one. But normally in all living beings, in the plants, when you observe, 4 will be functional. But in the Cyperaceae family, what happens? Out of the 4 cells, 3 will be degenerated, 1 will be function. It is a quite opposite characteristics when we see to the normal one. In the normal one, what happens? 4 will be formed, 4 will be the functional, 4 will be formed female gametes, matured gametes, male gametes we can able to see. But here only 1 is going to be form a mature gamete, 3 are going to be degenerated. This is the exceptional point which learn under the Cyperaceae family. Next, male gametophyte development. Development of the male gametophyte. Yes, the development of the male gamete when we observe here, first what happens here? In the development of the male gamete, microspore mother cell first undergoes into meiosis cell division. Due to the meiosis, what happens here? Pollen grain will be formed or microspore will be formed. This is the first step. So, microspore mother cell, it is a diploid in condition, pollen grain condition is haploid in nature. Pollen grain condition is haploid in nature. So, what type of the cell division is taken place here? Meiosis cell division or reduction division is taken place. Next, pollen grain. This pollen grain undergoes one division. The name of the division is mitosis cell division. So, first step, which cell division? Meiosis cell division. Second step, which cell division? Mitosis cell division. We know that due to the meiosis, how many will be formed? 4 pollen grains will be formed. But I am writing only 1 pollen grain only. Okay. Here 4 pollen grains will be formed, but I am writing, denoting here only 1. Let us see with 1 pollen grain what happens. Okay. So, that pollen grain undergoes into the mitosis. After the mitosis, how many cells will be formed? There will be a formation of the 2 cells. Why? Because it is a mitosis. One is larger size cell, that is called as a vegetative cell. Vegetative cell. Second one is generative cell. Generative cell. The vegetative cell is larger in size. Generative cell is smaller in size. Okay. Is it clear, all of you? The thing is here, we got 2 cells. One is vegetative cell, another one is generative cell. This vegetative cell, that larger cell forms pollen tube. It forms pollen tube. Generative cell give us a mature male gamete. It gives us a mature male gamete. Now see here, for the formation of the male gamete, how many divisions are needed here? Here 2 only. One is meiosis, another one is a mitosis. And one more important thing is, this is a 2-celled stage. 60% of families shed the pollen grain. In very important 2-cell stage only. This is very important. 60% of the family members are shedding the pollen grain 2 cells. Sir, where are the 2 cells, sir? One is a vegetative cell, another one is a generative cell. So 60% of the families are shedding the pollen grain in 2-cell stage only. Then remaining 40% of the families, how many percentage? 40% of the families are shedding in 3 cell stage. 3 cell, here 60% 2 cells, then 3 cell means I did not explain still regarding the 40% of the families. Now let us see. This is before pollination. Before pollination in the male gametophyte it happens. After the pollination what happens? After the pollination pollen grain falls on the stigma. After the pollination what happens? Next step when we see after pollination. After pollination what happens? Pollen grain falls on stigma. Okay. Whenever the pollen grain falls on the stigma, now see same cell I am writing here, one is vegetative cell. Yes. Another one is generative cell. Two cells, one is vegetative cell, another one is generative cell. Vegetative cell form pollen tube. Okay. Then generative cell it undergoes one more mitosis. One more mitosis. One more mitosis means so far mitosis how many taken now? 2 mitosis. Here one mitosis, here one mitosis. So generative cell due to occurrence of the one more mitosis, how many cells will be formed? 2 cells will be formed. These are male gametes. This is one male gamete, another one is another male gamete. So how many male gametes are forming? 2 male gametes are forming. Then this is one cell, one male gamete, one cell, one male gamete, another cell. Then vegetative cell is one cell. Now 3 cells we got. Vegetative cell is 1. So now we are learning about the 40% of the families which are shedding the pollen grain in 3 celluled stage. Already 2 celluled stage we have learned. Up to this step it is a 2 celluled stage. 60% of the families shedding their pollen grains up to here only. Okay, then remaining 40% of the families, how do they shed in a 3 celluled stage? So up to the 2 celluled it is the same. Then third step what happens here, after the pollination pollen grains falls on the stigma, then vegetative cell forms pollen tube, same. Now the vegetative cell is a one cell, it is a one cell. Generative cell it undergoes into mitosis cell division, it forms 2 mature male gametes. So this is one cell and this is another cell. Total how many? This is 1, 2, 3. 3 cells are forming. In the 3 cells, how many cells are formed? 3 cells. Out of 3 cells, one is vegetative cell, another one is from the generative cell. We are getting 2 male gametes. What we are getting? 2 male gametes. So this is 1, this is 2. How many now? 3 cell stage. Got it? But in this, when you see one meiosis is taking place and 2 mitosis are taking place. The question will be asked for the formation of the mature male gamete. Mature male gamete, how many cell divisions are required? How many cell divisions are required? That is the question. So how many cell divisions will be required? One is meiosis, one meiosis and 2 mitosis will be required. Let us see in the form of a diagram this one. Once again I am explaining, just listen. Development, microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis reduction division, pollen grains will be formed, haploid. That pollen grain undergoes mitosis. Due to that 2 cells will be formed, one is vegetative cell, another one is a generative cell. Vegetative cell is the larger one, generative cell is the smaller one. most of the families of the plants shed the pollen grain in the 2-celled stage only. That is 60% of the families are shedding in 2-celled stage. Okay. Then up to here same in 3-celled stage also. Okay. Then after the pollination, pollen grains fall on the stigma. Then vegetative cell is one cell and generative cell undergoes one more mitosis, due to that 2 male gametes are forming. That vegetative cell and these 2 male gametes, so together 3 cells are forming. Okay. Now how many cells or how many cell divisions are required? 1 meiosis and 2 mitosis are needed for the formation of the mature gamete, male gamete. Okay. If we see here, microspore mother cell, 2n in condition, it undergoes meiosis. Due to that, how many cells will be formed? 1, 2, 3, 4 cells are forming. How many cells? 4 cells. That is, all are haploid, but 4 cells are forming. Okay. Then what happens here? 1 mitosis, here 1 mitosis, mitosis, mitosis. Due to that, mitosis cell division 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many? 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 mature male gametes are forming. This is the central idea of the development. So, 1 meiosis and the mitosis. Then how many cells, haploid cells are forming? 8 male gametes are forming. Of course, where they are involving, that will be learnt in further classes. Okay. This is a central concept. Let us see in the diagrammatic manner. Example, if you see here, 60% of the families and 40% of the families. It is a 2-celled stage, it is a 3-cell stage. Okay. Next, that is Solanaceae and Poaceae family members, 60% in that main important one. Another one is Asteraceae and Brassicaceae. This is also very, very important. 60% of the families, they shed the pollen grain in 2-celled stage. 40% of the family, they shed the pollen grain in 3-celled stage. Now, how it will be formed? Let us see. So far we have seen the textual, but now let us see about the diagrammatic. First, the pollen grain, the structure of the pollen grain, when you see, it will be like this. Then outermost layer, exine, we can able to see. This is the exine. What do we call? Exine. This is the intine, nucleus, then vacuole, cytoplast, some dessert food material, germpore, these all will be there. Then after, it is a haploid in condition. Now, it undergoes into mitosis. It undergoes into mitosis. Due to the mitosis, how many cells will be formed? See now, I am not drawing the exine and germpore, these are things, just I am drawing the pollen grain structure. Why? Because in the first diagram only I have labeled those all. That is the reason why I am not again and again I am not drawing that one. Just to see, this nucleus undergoes mitotic cell division, due to that two nucleus will be formed. Here one nucleus, here one nucleus. Okay. Already we learnt. What did we learn? Due to the mitosis, two cells will be formed. One is a larger, another one is a smaller. So now this is the larger cell. Larger cell is called as a VC, vegetative cell. Then smaller one, what is that? Smaller one is called as a GC, generative cell. GC stands for generative cell, VC stands for vegetative cell. Sir, how it will be taken place, sir? You may get doubt. That will be, I am drawing here. See, the nucleus, this nucleus, first karyokinesis will be taken place. That is the reason why this side one nucleus and this side one nucleus will be taken place. Then after, plasma membrane invaginates. Plasma membrane goes inside and it invaginates inside. This is the plasma membrane invaginating. Then after, from the two opposite inside, the plasma membrane invaginates inside and at a particular position they meet. So due to that meeting, then what happens here? The cell wall, cytoplast will be divided. This cytoplast is separated, this cytoplast is separated. Already nucleus is present, no? Now this side one nucleus, this side one nucleus. Due to that, what we got? One is larger, another one is smaller. This type of the division is called as a asymmetric division. Why we are calling as a asymmetric division? Two unequal size of the cells we got. That is the reason why it is called as a asymmetric division. Next, from the larger cell or vegetative cell, what do you get? That is a tube like structure, pollen tube. Then most of the 60% of the families are shedding in these two stages only. Okay. But 3 cellular stage, I am now going to explain about the 3 cellular stage. In the 3 cellular stage, what happens? This smaller one, GC, in this one, there is some modification. First, around this a callose layer will be formed. That okay, around the nucleus, what happens? A callose plug will be formed in this manner. A callose plug will be formed. What is this? Callose. A is not callose. This callose will be degraded, digested. Callose will be digested by callase. All of you listen here. Here one nucleus is present. Now, while the callose is forming, whatever the plasma membrane invaginated, that will be ruptured, that will not be there. Then that one only in the form of a callose layer, it will be formed around the generative cell. This is a generative cell. Now this is the vegetative cell. Are you got it? First generative cell will be like this. Then after, while the callose layer is forming, this will be digested. So you cannot see in this diagram this differentiated or separated path. So now after the callase enzyme activity, in the next step what happens? It will be floated in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. Now this is the vegetative cell nucleus, then this is the generative cell. Why? Because callase enzyme activity, what happens? This will be degraded, the cell wall is degraded. Then after, this GC will be turned into a spindle apparatus like structure, spindle fiber structure. Okay. Now GC is, that is generative cell is spindle fiber like structure. GC, what is the shape of the GC now? Spindle fiber like structure. Okay. This GC is floating. Where it is floating? It floats in cytoplasm. What is that? Cytoplasm of VC, vegetative cell. This is the VC. In this cytoplasm, GC is floating. Okay. Then after what happens? GC forms two male gametes. Already VC is present, no? VC forms pollen tube. Then GC forms two male gametes. This is about diagrammatical explanation of the development of generative cell and vegetative cell. First, pollen grain, haploid in condition, mitosis, two asymmetric cells will be formed. One is larger one is called as vegetative cell, smaller one is called as a generative cell. Then after, due to the action of the callose enzyme, okay, the cell wall of the generative cell will be formed around the GC. Then after callase enzyme activity, the cell wall will be digested and the GC will be joined in the cytoplast of the vegetative cell. Meanwhile, generative cell will be turned into the spindle fiber shape. So now the spindle fiber shape of the GC is floating in the vegetative cell cytoplasm. Next, what happens here? GC develops the two male gametes, then vegetative cell develops the pollen tube. Due to that, what happens now? Pollen tube structure, how it would be? Pollen tube, this is the pollen tube. Who is developing the pollen tube? VC, that is vegetative cell. Then male gamete, this is one male gamete and this is another male gamete. So now pollen tube, this is the pollen tube. Who has developed? Vegetative cell is developed. This is male gamete. This is another male gamete. Who has developed? Generative cell has developed. Then it reaches to the ovary, until where the ova is present, up to there it extends and it meets the ova nucleus. Okay. Next here, what are the differences between the vegetative cell and generative cell? What are the differences between vegetative cell and generative cell? Vegetative cell is the larger, then generative cell is the smaller. Then vegetative cell forms a pollen tube. What does it form? It forms pollen tube. Generative cell forms mature male gamete. It forms mature male gamete. Next, result food material is present in the vegetative cell. Generative cell it is absent. Whereas vacuole also present in the vegetative cell, but it is absent in the generative cell. So these are the differences between the vegetative cell and generative cell. So this is about the development of the male gamete. Yes. Next, so far we have learnt three. What are the floral parts? First part is calyx. Second whorl of the flower is called as a corolla. Third whorl of a flower is called as a stamen. So now development of the pollen grain is completed. Next, we have to learn about the pistil, carpel or female gametophyte. Let us see about the fourth whorl of a flower is called as a gynoecium. What is that? Pistil, carpel or gynoecium. Pistil, carpel or gynoecium. Female reproductive part of a flower. When we see the female reproductive part of a flower, so now first I am drawing, this is a stigma, now it is a style, next it is a ovary. Okay. So what is this this is stigma, this is style, this is ovary. Okay. Then stigma, it is a bulged and beaded part. It is in sticky in nature. Which nature? It is in sticky in nature due to presence of the sugar and amino acid. It is in, and some chemicals are present. Then that is the reason why it is in sticky in nature. Next, style, a narrow tube like structure which connects stigma as well as ovary, that is called as a style. Ovary, basal, bulged, swollen part of the flower, that is a ovary. Inside the ovary, ovules are present. What are present inside the ovary? Ovules are present. Next, these ovules, usually the ovules, when we see now, this is the funiculus. Next, here placenta will be present. Okay. Now, this is the ovule. So, now it is a ovule, then this is the placenta. In placenta, consisting of the placenta is a characteristic of the angiosperms. So, what is the role of the placenta? Placenta provides nourishment, it provides the nutrition to the developing embryo. Okay. So, this is about the peripheral information regarding the pistil. Okay. Based on the presence of the carpel, pistil, carpel, gynoecium all are same. Then based on the number of the carpels present in the plant, there are two types. If the carpel number, here I am writing as a carpel, if the carpel number is only 1, that is called as a monocarpellary. If the carpel number is more than 1 means many, that is called as a polycarpellary or polycarpus. Okay. Where do you observe monocarpellary? The monocarpellary condition in Poaceae like rice, wheat, such type of the plants you can able to see monocarpellary. Polycarpellary or polycarpus, where do you observe? Again polycarpal, here fused condition, means carpels all are fused, all carpels are fused, that is called as a syncarpus. Syncarpus. If the carpels are the free, carpels are fused like this, syncarpus. If carpels are free, that is called as a apocarpus. Okay. Then what is the example for the syncarpus? Hibiscus, papaver. Okay. What is the example for apocarpus? Annona, Michaelia. Okay. These are the examples for the free fused syncarpus and apocarpus. Then even the number of the ovules, okay, based on the number of the ovules present, there are two types. Okay. Ovules, uni or many or multi. Okay. Uni means only one ovule where do you present, and more than one ovule where do you present. Same, only one ovule, that is the Poaceae family, you can able to see that like rice and wheat. Then more than one, watermelon. Next, papaya. Okay. This is about the preliminary or basic information regarding the pistil, carpels and the presence of the ovule and how they were fused, how if they were free, what are the names and what are the examples we have seen now. Now, the development of the female gametophyte, before going to learn, there are different type of the ovules are present. types of ovules. What is that? Types of ovules. Types of ovules in this: orthotropous, anatropous, amphitropous, campylotropous, cercinotropous, hemianatropous. Different types of the ovules are present. Before going to learn, first of all we need to know some of the terminology related to the male gametophyte development. Female gametophyte development. This is the, for example, embryo sac, what we are calling embryo sac, okay, or female gametophyte. Around the, just I am labeling here, embryo sac or female gametophyte. Okay. Around the embryo sac there are protective layers are present. Okay. These protective layers we are calling as a integuments. What we are calling these protective layers? We are calling as integuments. Okay. This is the embryo sac. Okay. Around that protective layers are present. These are called as a integument. In this nutritive substances, nourishment providing cells are present. That is called as a nucellus. What is that? Nucellus. That nucellus tissue provide nourishment for the developing embryo. Okay. Then after, due to the formation of the integument, here a narrow hole like structure is formed. Okay. This narrow hole like structure which has formed due to the formation of the integument, that is called as a micropyle. That is called as a micropyle. Through the micropyle, pollen tube enters into the ovule. Okay. Then micropyle quite opposite whatever the place position is there, this is called as a chalaza. That is called as chalaza. Next, the ovule which attaches to the ovary, the stalk part of a ovule is called as a funicle or funiculus. Both are same, funicle or funiculus. So funiculus means stalk of ovule. It is a stalk of ovule. Then the stalk of the ovule, funicle, and the body of the ovule, there is a common junction is present. This part is called as a hilum. What is that? Hilum. Hilum means it is a junction or common joining point. The junction between body of ovule and funicle is called as a hilum. Okay. Placenta means basal swollen part which attaches, where the ovule attaches to the ovary, that is called as a placenta. In the previous minutes we have learned. What is micropyle? Due to the formation of the integuments, a small narrow opening is called as a micropyle. Nucellus means it provides nourishment to the developing embryo. Then it is the embryo sac female gametophyte. It is a chalaza opposite to the micropyle. Hilum, the body, and funicle where combines joins together, that is called as a hilum. Funicle is a stalk part of the ovule. Then if you see orthotropous, the first one is orthotropous ovule. What is the first one? Orthotropous ovule. This is the orthotropous ovule only. Okay. Then here in this orthotropous ovule, what happens? Micropyle, chalaza and funicle. These three are arranged in a straight line. These three are arranged in a straight line. See now, this is a micropyle, this is a chalaza, this is a funicle. These three are arranged in a straight line. That is the reason why it is called as a orthotropous ovule. Orthotropous ovule is a straight ovule, or else it is a erect ovule. Straight, erect or orthotropous ovule. Okay. Next, it is a primitive type of ovule. It is a primitive type of the ovule. Next, here angiosperms and gymnosperms, both we can see gymnosperms and angiosperms, we can see this type of the ovule. Angiosperms especially polygonum. Okay. This is orthotropous ovule. There are how many types of the ovules are there? Orthotropous ovule is there. Next, anatropous. Next, hemianatropous. Next, campylotropous. Next, amphianatropous. Next, cercinotropous. There are 6 types of the ovules are present, but now we have finished orthotropous. So, this is the diagram for the orthotropous ovule. Orthotropous ovule, micropyle, chalaza and funicle, these 3 are in a straight line. That is the reason why erect ovule, straight ovule, orthotropous ovule we are calling. Okay, it is a primitive, one of the primitive type. Both in gymno and angiosperms we can able to see. Polygonum in angiosperms is a example. These are the examples. Okay, remaining types of the ovules we will see in my next class.